What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about why 3/4 is the best time signature. But before we get into it here, just a heads up, this is going to be my last video for roughly the next 4 weeks. I have a lot of traveling coming up later this month, and I can't possibly shoot and edit videos in the middle of everything I got going on, so let's make sure this is a good one. If you somehow stumbled across this video and you don't know what 3/4 is, the overwhelming majority of popular music is in 4/4, or 4-beat cycles, and we would usually count those beats like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And each of those beats can be broken into smaller parts, and that's how we create rhythms. I don't think I need to get that general with it. If you don't know what rhythms are, you should not be watching this video. But 3/4 means each cycle contains only 3 beats, so we would just count it 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And having only 3 beats per measure more easily allows for some rhythmic interplay. So if we compare things to 4/4, I think of 4/4 as having 2 standard ways of playing backbeats. We could play the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. Or we could play the snare drum just on beat 3, which gives us a halftime feel. And those are just the most common ways of expressing backbeats in 4/4. You could also do backbeat displacements or some other variations, but those two are definitely the most standard. But in 3/4, I would actually argue that there are 4 standard backbeat positions, and they all have a pretty unique feel to them. So I would say the first backbeat position is playing the snare on 2 and 3. Then we could also play the snare only on beat 3. We could play the snare only on beat 2, or we could play the snare on just the and of beat 2. Now, when we play backbeats on 2 and 3, or just 3, or just 2, everything feels very definitively like 3/4. But when we play the backbeat on the and of 2, the lines can get a little blurry. It could feel like 3/4, it could also feel kind of like 6/8, or it could even feel like 4/4. If you've never played in 3, I would start by trying to build basic grooves around each of these backbeat positions. To demonstrate, I'm going to play around with each of these backbeat positions at a couple of different speeds to show you some possibilities. Now, toward the beginning of the video, I mentioned that playing in 3 opens up a lot of options for rhythmic interplay, but what do I mean by that? So if we're playing in 3/4 with a 16th note subdivision, every measure contains 12 16th notes. So we essentially have 3 beats grouped into 4 parts apiece. But since 12 is also divisible by 4, we could group the 16th notes into 3s, implying a dotted 8th note feel. So dotted 8th notes in 3/4 would sound like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a. So we have 4 dotted 8th notes spread evenly over these 3 beats, and that creates a 4 against 3 polyrhythm. 4 dotted 8th notes against 3 quarter notes, but they resolve in the same space. So if I play just quarter notes on the hi-hats and dotted 8th notes on my bass drum, that sets up a 4 against 3 polyrhythm, and then we could start to phrase grooves around that polyrhythm. To show you what I mean, I'm going to play through each of those backbeat positions again, but against this 4 against 3 polyrhythm happening between my hi-hats and bass drum. When you get more confident retaining the polyrhythm between your hi-hats and kick, you could start to fill in some of the other gaps with little embellishments, maybe ghost notes or additional accents on the snare drum. You could pepper in a couple of extra kicks, you could break up the hi-hat rhythm a little bit, and you just want to have fun with it and see where it goes. Since we've determined that we can play 4 beats spaced evenly against 3 beats, we could begin to take entire phrases that we would play as triplets in 4/4 and superimpose them into 16th notes in 3/4. And this works out quite nicely because 4/4 triplets and 3/4 16th notes both occupy 12 spaces. The only difference is we kind of shift our metric accent a little bit. So when we're in 3/4 16th notes, it feels like 3 beats divided into 4 parts apiece, but triplets, or implying triplets more accurately, feels like 4 stresses divided into 3 parts each. This is an example of implied metric modulation. We're not totally shifting our rhythmic center. We're sort of referencing a slightly different one, but we're always able to get ourselves back to the original. To demonstrate, I'll take a halftime shuffle that I would usually play in 4/4, so backbeat on 3 relative to 4/4, and superimpose that into 3/4 16th notes. In this case, the backbeat will be on the and of 2 in our 3/4 16th note feel, and that's actually the halfway point of a measure of 3/4. If you take 3 and divide it in half, you get 1.5, and that puts us square in the middle of beat 2. So there's a sort of symmetry to this, despite the fact that it's built around a polyrhythm. Or I guess in this case, we would consider this a polymeter, if you really care about the semantics. Regardless, superimposing a shuffle into 3/4 16th notes sounds like this. Try building your own grooves around each of these backbeat positions and see if you could weave some of these different backbeat positions together to work out some cool combinations all on your own. At the end of the day, 4/4 and 3/4, they're pretty much the same. If you like what you saw in this video, check out my Patreon page. Your support grants you access to transcriptions for this video, as well as transcriptions for all my other lesson videos. And follow me on Instagram @drummerhar to see more videos of my playing. As always, thanks for watching and see you next time.